Okay, so let's jump right in. We're going to talk about making that leap from being a really good Salesforce coder to becoming a truly essential Salesforce architect. And it's a pretty big jump, but it really all comes down to evolving how you think, the processes you use, and the skills you bring to the table. So, what does that journey actually look like?
This quote from Advanced Apex Programming just absolutely nails it. See, moving from a developer to an architect, it isn't just about learning some new commands or syntax. It's about getting so fluent that you just instinctively get the platform's power and, just as important, its limits. That's the real mindset shift we're diving into today.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about why the old way of doing things, those manual deployments, just isn't cutting it anymore. Then we'll get into that architect's mindset with something called thinking in Apex. After that, we'll look at a modern process, get into the practical side of designing solutions, and then finally, we'll peek into the future of Salesforce development. All right, let's just start by talking about a feeling I think we've all had, that frustration with the old ways of deploying. I mean, if you've ever lost an entire afternoon fighting with change sets, you know exactly what I mean. The old way, it just doesn't work for the complex Salesforce orgs we're all building today.
And I mean, just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got the slow lane, change sets. They're totally manual, super easy to make mistakes with, and they're completely cut off from modern tools like version control. Then on the other side, you've got DevOps tools. We're talking automation, speed, reliability, and a full history of every change. It's kind of like the difference between using a folded paper map versus a live GPS.
So to really move beyond those old manual tools, you need a whole new way of thinking. It's about getting past just writing lines of code and starting to understand the entire platform. And that brings us to a really core idea for anyone who wants to be an architect: thinking in Apex.
It's a lot like learning to speak a new language. You can memorize a dictionary, but that doesn't mean you can have a real conversation, right? To really get good at Apex, to truly master it, you have to get your head around three key things that go way beyond just the words you're typing. First up, of course, is syntax. These are the rules of the road, the grammar, the spelling of the code. This is the baseline stuff. The price of admission. You just have to know it. Then you go a level deeper to semantics. This isn't just about what you wrote. It's about what the code actually does when you run it. It's the logic, the real meaning behind the words, the behavior of your code when it's out in the wild. And right here, this is the real game changer. This is what separates the coders from the architects: understanding the platform. This is the whole world your code lives in. We're talking governor limits, execution contexts, that whole multi-tenant architecture. Getting this is how you build things that are not just clever, but also scalable and efficient. Okay, so once you start thinking bigger about the whole platform, not just a single piece of code, you pretty quickly realize you need a better process. And that leads us straight to the DevOps lifecycle. It's a modern way of working that's built to handle all that complexity and deliver value safely. Now, DevOps isn't just one tool you can buy. It's a whole shift in your culture and your practices. It's about using the right combination of tools and, really, philosophies to push high-quality work out the door faster and way more reliably. It's about creating a release process that's predictable, repeatable, and safe. And the engine that drives all of this is this continuous loop you see here. It's not a straight line from start to finish. You plan your work, you write the code, you build it, then the magic happens. You automatically test it, you release it, and then you monitor how it's doing in the real world, which, of course, feeds right back into your next plan. It's a constant cycle of getting better. So why go through all this effort? Well, the payoff is huge. You're not just deploying faster, you're deploying with confidence. Your teams work better together because version control becomes that single source of truth. It finally puts an end to the whole, well, it worked on my machine argument. You ship fewer bugs, you build more securely, and you get a perfect audit trail of who changed what, when, and why. Okay, so we've got the mindset down, we've got the process. Now let's get into the practical stuff. How do you actually start designing solutions like an architect? How do you think about that big picture before you even write one line of code? This right here is the million-dollar question. Before you get lost in the details, you need a blueprint. And that blueprint is what we call a high-level design document, or an HLD. So what are the key pieces that make up a really solid one? A really great HLD covers all your bases. It maps out how all the systems and data will connect. It defines your data model with what's called an entity relationship diagram, an ERD, so you can see how all your objects relate to each other. It lays out your entire security and sharing model.
It details your automation strategy, which tool to use and why, and it maps out any integrations. And maybe most important of all, it all connects back to the actual user stories, making sure every single design choice is there for a reason. All right, we've hit the mindset, the process, and the design skills. So for our last section, let's look to the horizon. The Salesforce platform is changing at lightning speed, and the skills you need to be a top-tier professional, they're changing right along with it. So looking at what's happening in the ecosystem, there are 5 really big trends that are fundamentally changing what companies want from their Salesforce talent as we head through 2025. You really need to have these on your radar. So what's coming? First, AI is no longer just a cool buzzword. It's a core skill. Second, Data Cloud is basically becoming the new heart of the entire platform. Third, powerful automation with Flow is pushing out old custom code. Fourth, you can't just be an expert in one cloud anymore. You have to know how to connect them all. And last but not least, DevOps and security are no longer an afterthought. They're the absolute foundation of everything you build. And here's the bottom line. The job is getting bigger. Being a fantastic coder is still incredibly valuable, but it's just not enough anymore. The modern Salesforce Pro is a strategist, a security expert, and an architect who gets the entire business process from end to end. Honestly, these are the skills that get you promoted. Sticking just to code is how you get left behind. And that really leaves us with one final thought to take away from all this. The path from coder to architect, it's a deliberate choice. It's a choice to level up how you see the world. It's about moving from just solving today's coding puzzle to designing the scalable, secure, and intelligent solutions that businesses will need tomorrow. So the real question is, which role do you want to play?